Good day, friends. I'm Kerry Dillinger. This is Bible Class Topics. It's another 10-minute devotional. Better to be of a humble spirit. That's what it says in Proverbs 16, verses 18 and 19. And we'll take that reading right now. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. In the New Testament, James, the Lord's brother, says this in James chapter 4, verse 6. God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. A person does not have to be proud, boastful, or arrogant to be a great person. However, many people today think that's are signs of a great person. Pride, boastfulness, arrogance. What about Moses? We know Moses was indeed a great man. And at the same time, Numbers 12:3 says he was very meek, above all the men which lived upon the face of the earth. King Saul started out as a humble man. He was told by Samuel, when you were little in your own eyes, were you not head of the tribes of Israel? 1 Samuel 15:7. But over time, Saul became big in his own eyes, and because of his proud, sinful actions, the Lord rejected him as king. 1 Samuel 15:23. What about David? David, a man after God's own heart, was humble. His humility is evident in some of his statements found in the Psalms that he wrote. He said, "My soul shall make its boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear of it and be glad." Psalm 34:2. He also stated that the sacrifices of God are of a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. Psalm 51:17. Moving into the New Testament, let's consider the Apostle Paul. From the world's viewpoint, he had every reason to be proud. He was highly educated, having been brought up at the feet of Gamaliel, taught according to the strictness of our father's law, Acts 22:3. He had the honor and the privilege of being a Roman citizen, as we read in Acts 22:25 through 29. I'll leave that for you to read. Paul told the Philippians in Philippians 3:4 through 6, if anyone else thinks he may have confidence in the flesh, I more so, circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel, the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of the Hebrews, concerning the law, a Pharisee, concerning zeal, persecuting the church, concerning the righteousness which is in the law, blameless. Yet Paul was a man of humility. Concerning the facts that he just stated, he went on to say this in verse 7. But what things were gained to me, these I have counted loss for Christ. In fact, later in verse 8, he called these things rubbish. As an apostle, he spoke of himself as the least of all apostles, who am not worthy to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of God, 1 Corinthians 15, verse 9. In 1 Timothy 1:15, he also spoke of himself as the chief of sinners. We can observe through the scriptures that God used the ones of a humble spirit for his service. And if you or I, if we are truly outstanding in the service of the Lord today, we too then must be humble. Jesus said, but whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant. Matthew 20, verse 26. James tells us to humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. James 4, verse 10. A person of a humble spirit realizes that he is nothing without God. He is genuinely happy to obey God's commands and receive his rich blessings. He's like an empty vessel that only God can fill. Paul said this, "For I say, through the grace given to me, to every one who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, as God has dealt to each one a measure of faith." Romans 12, verse 3. The Apostle Peter, in chapter 5, verse 6 of his first letter, reminds us, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so at the proper time he may exalt you." The outline for this short study came from R.J. Evans, and we thank him for supplying that. Your support of the channel is greatly appreciated, and if you can do anything to help us, that would be to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share a link to this video with your friends, neighbors, and loved ones. Till we meet again, may God bless.